Carissa. I'm a financial advisor from Rival Wealth, and
I'm Emma. I am a chartered accountant for Rival Accounting with a specialty in rural accounting.
yeah, perfect. So you are a subject expert, and the reason we put this together is because we both work very closely with rural couples and rural businesses and operations, and you'll know there's been a bout of negativity, and especially I think in the Wairarapa, I've spoken to farmers around the country. Some areas have done a bit better on the weather front, so their ewes are a bit plumper. Is that a word you can use?
I think we can roll.
We can roll with it. But everyone is, so we've come together because we want to give some practical tips of things that people could be doing in this environment. Yeah?
Yeah.
Should we crack on?
I think so.
Let's crack on. Cool. So the first thing we wanted to talk about was the current environment. It's a really interesting picture that Pam has put together for us there. We've seen inflation rates coming down in the States though, so hopefully that will reach our OCR coming down this side of Christmas, which many of the larger banks are now agreeing to, or that's their
we're seeing that shift slowly.
Slowly but surely. I know investment markets and returns have been positive the last couple of months for us, June, July, and currency is a whole different kettle of fish, and the Chinese market, and there's lots of things being thrown our way on top of weather events.
There's been a lot. An awful lot.
There's been a lot. But what we're seeing is those businesses that are more resilient are the ones who are doing the things that we're going to be talking to you about this evening. So what we're going to cover off is your power team and a bit about the people in your power team. We're going to talk about your plan and some of the things that you need to be thinking about. And we're going to be ending, I suppose, on the horizon, like taking a look up from the weeds and going, hey, what does the future hold? And are we growing as a business, or are we going as a business, and how will that dictate our plans? But this evening, it could be that you listen to this, even on the re-record, and go, I'm doing awesome. There's nothing those two girls who weren't good at technology said that I need to apply or be thinking about. But we are hoping that there is at least one little gold nugget that you can take away and do a bit of a deep dive on what you're currently doing to
implement into your plan.
Yeah. Are you seeing any positive sort of stuff in the rural?
I think in terms of farm gate prices, the dairy sector's definitely seen a lift in milk prices, which is encouraging. Sheep and beef are quite a bit slower on that side of things, but here's hoping that come the next forecast for New Zealand lambs that the prices are lifting. But I think it's going to be an interesting or a tough 12 to 18 months, particularly as we see inflation come back and interest rates come down. It's hunkering down and weathering the storm.
And most people you see are in the same boat, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I've fed 7 lambs on a vast estate farm this evening. So I know many accomplished farmers might turn a blind eye to them, but I just think my husband stitched me up, really. So the first part we want to talk about is power team. And yes, you can see our beautiful faces there, but your power team, you might have different people there. But the message we want to make really clear is that the people you're dealing with in your business are people that you don't hesitate picking up the phone to.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a really good relationship with them. You're bouncing ideas off. They're a integral part of your business and your decision-making team.
Yeah. And they're accessible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know people can be worried, or the old way of thinking was that you're paying a fortune, no offence. I can offend. Yeah, we work in the same office, it's okay. But it would cost a fortune to pick up the phone and talk to you or ask the question. So when I'm in a bad situation, I'm not going to do that. Whereas that's not the case these days, is it?
No, you absolutely, depending who you're involved with and what sort of packages you have with them, a lot have unlimited support.
Yeah.
I know that's something that we have because we would much rather have that relationship with the client where they don't hesitate to pick up the phone. They are calling before they're making those decisions. You are part of that decision-making process, because there might be a fishhook that, had they not spoken to you, catches them out from a tax perspective or any what's it really?
Yeah, 100%. And I think from a financial advice point of view, and the great thing about having a relationship, not an open book, but a relationship together, is that our mutual clients, if there is an issue, there's a benefit and there's power in sitting around the table together. It's all that old stuff, like, more heads together and, a different way to see things, or we might have had experience of someone else doing something well and be able to share that. And sometimes you can't see the wood through the trees. Yeah. And how important is that bank manager relationship at the moment?
It's huge. And I think it's changing the narrative, and we're seeing it being accepted with the, I'll say, younger generation of farmers, really bringing the bank on board as part of their team.
Yeah.
Because they're there, they want to help. They're not that ambulance at the bottom of the cliff that you're ringing. They want to be in touch with you and knowing what your business is doing, how it's going, how can they help. So I think it's really important to get a bank manager that you trust, you have a good relationship with, that you can pick up with the phone, get them to come around the farm.
Yeah. And if you have a legacy relationship, like I see that a lot, people have dealt with people because it's their family, or that's the business or the equity part. Do you know what I mean? Like that legacy. How I see, and I'm not blowing our own trumpet, but sometimes a fresh set of eyes in a bad situation, or when times are tough, is when things get picked up.
Absolutely. And I think just that fresh set of eyes, and someone that's on your team, if you've got your accountant or bank manager or lawyer or whomever in your power team that you have inherited from your parents, hypothetically, that power team member is going to know their story and isn't necessarily going to be really invested in what your story is and how you want to change and run the business for you. Yeah, so it's really getting your own team and making it your own.
Yeah. Cool. So if someone on your power team, I suppose that's the first point, if someone on your power team is draining, rather than engaging or amplifying, then I think it's time that you take a look in the looking mirror. The next few things that we want to go through is, because yes, it's economic bad times, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not wanting to play that down, but I'm an optimist by trade, right? But things worse than economics could happen to a farming business, or any business, or any unit for that matter. And that's when humans get involved. And financial stress it falls on business owners as well. So the next few things we're going to be sort of talking about are things you can practically do to increase your safety net, because it's always good to have foresight before the bad situation happens than hindsight and go, God, I wish I could have, or why didn't I? Why didn't we? Yeah. So do you want to take off the first one?
Yeah. So with your budget, it's your financial plan and your map of where you're going each year and how you're going to get there. It forms your base for decision making. So obviously this year we're seeing quite a lot of unhappy as such budgets, but it's knowing that, it's having the power that you know what your situation is to then make some decisions. What can you either cut out, or can you spread, for example, that fertilizer application? What can you be drilling into to get the most out of what you've got? That then enables you, if you've got that financial plan in place, you've got levers to pull. It's really important, I think, too, is you do your initial budget, but you're updating it regularly. That can be every 2 to 3 months, but having that finger on the pulse, because things do change in terms of weather events, farm gate prices, etc. But by knowing where you're going and being able to change tact, whether that's on farm operationally as a result of something that's financially happening, or being able to pick up the phone and give the bank manager a call and say, hey, I'm just going to flick you through our budget. These things have happened, and it maybe we need a little bit of help from a cash flow perspective, or changing what your loan structure is, or refinancing, or it may be that there's an opportunity, but you can actually make that decision based off your plan.
The actuals, yeah. And I think going through line by line as well is important. And I think from a personal point of view as well, like in a household, so you're on farm, you're making income to run your family, right? And so all of those things, like we sat down the other night at the table and went through Apple managed my subscriptions, and guilty, few things that, oh yeah, no, don't renew that, oh, haven't used that, don't renew that. All of those things actually add up. And when we talk about key person and that Cover Plus Extra, I think we have to think about a worst case scenario on farm if something happened to one of the key people, or what you call the box seat.
Yeah.
You like to call it the box seat. So if you're in the box seat of the business and you're the person who makes things happen, or you're the person who's doing things, if something happened to you, what flow and effect does that have?
Yeah.
With Cover Plus Extra and ACC, I think with the books not looking great, what happens with ACC is at the end of the year, they look at what you earned and they charge you a levy on that.
Yeah.
So then if you go on claim, you get 80% of nothing, if that's what the income was for that year, right? So the benefit of Cover Plus Extra is that you can say to ACC, if I am off farm due to an accident, how much income will you pay me, and agree the amount and pay the levy then and there. But I see people getting caught in that they then get sent the invoice and they don't pay it, and they think they've got it in place, but they haven't paid the invoice. so it's
not the cover's not in place until you've paid the invoice.
Yeah, that's the one thing. ACC, good old government, they like to get paid, but it's a really key part of that security blanket or that safety net. But you can't get cancer. You can't get dementia. You can't get many things from falling off a ladder. So making sure that if your business needs to fund a labour replacement unit, and that's not coming out of your cash flow or eating into your equity and all of those, or you're not borrowing to do it, you don't want to borrow to do that, you're best paying a little bit up front. And if you're looking at your insurance bill and going, holy hector, yes, the on-farm stuff, the equipment stuff, it's gone up. That's gone up across everything across the country. But like your medical insurance, like going, can we put an excess on it? You know, like your life cover, is that still relevant? Like are the kids left home now? Like, you know, like would we actually sell and downsize, not sell to pine trees?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
assessing what you need.
Things like that shouldn't be less and forget.
Yeah.
And you made a great point the other day when we were chatting. Like when you're going through line by line, you get to your subscriptions, not your Apple apps like me, but your proper farming subscriptions.
Yeah.
And you hit a really good point.
Yeah, it's making sure that you're getting bang for your buck for those subscriptions. So it's even something like your software, whether it's Zero and Figured or Farm Focus, is it getting a refresher on being able to use it to its full ability. There are a couple of really cool things that are happening. Farm Focus are doing an education roadshow. So it's being able to go and upskill or get a few tips and tricks. It also provides the opportunity to get off farm as well.
100%. Like, I get excited. I've just learned that if you press the little window button, you don't have windows, you have Apple, and the full stop, it brings up all your emojis. Like, it's all those, not relevant, but it's all those quick things that are in software that you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
Like setting up rules in your Outlook or whatever it is, all of those things make efficiencies if it takes less of your time, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to be double entering things. You don't want to be do it once, do it right.
Absolutely. And that's one thing with software, no matter what it is, it's always upgrading and improving its ability. So making sure that you're across that to help yourself and get time back in your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what we need to do is, once we've got what's in front of us, once we've been through a fine-tooth comb and we are in the box seat and we've thought about all of our strategies and they work for us and we feel comfortable with them, then we actually need to take a look up, because I always say that even in bad times, the time is still going to come where you need to decide if you're selling or there's a succession plan that needs to eventuate, right? So, and there's no better time to think about that than the present.
Absolutely.
And the younger, the better.
Yeah.
Because you're healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got a lot more options then too.
Yeah. So the first point there, diversify. Why do you think that's important to build resilience in a farming business?
Yeah, so I think it becomes important because those businesses that are able to take the opportunities as they present themselves, and it's absolutely difficult at the moment. So hunkering down and managing really carefully what your business is doing is obviously really important. But as you said, seeing the wood for the trees to take advantage of opportunities as they come up is so important. So it could be making the most of something that you already have. Like, we've got some incredible examples locally and throughout the country of farming businesses that have diversified their income streams to make their businesses more resilient through these times. So you've got Pora Coastal Walk, it's on their back doorstep, and what they've managed to turn that into is incredible. Honest Wool, you've got Mangamari sunflower fields, glamping you can have on your farm, there's deer, there's so many opportunities. It's just, again, planning it and executing it well. Yeah,
100%. And I also think that then if you're looking forward to succession as well, the earlier you diversify, and it could be off-farm investment as well, it could be a rental portfolio, it could be something where there's a bit more liquidity. It's time in the game. Like, I meet a lot of people who are nearing succession who wish they'd started earlier.
Planning sooner.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think you've hit the nail on the head. The longer you're in it and the more equity you can build up within your family unit, the more options you have to make your succession successful.
Yeah, 100%. Just one little safety net. I know we're talking. We go for a wee while, but around the family debt side of things, I think it's really important just to reiterate that if you are doing from a safety net point of view, if you have family loans or you're gifting bits of land or anything to the next generation and there's family debt, I think it's really important you document it with a family loan document.
Yeah.
So that if your children's partner doesn't turn out to be the nicest, whatever.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. Unfortunately, at 50% of relationships, it goes this way. But it means that you're able to take back what you gifted to them prior to their relationship property being split out. So it's really important that even if it's $10,000 as a deposit to get into their first apartment at uni or whatever it is, make sure that you've got the documentation right. It's a big thing that People do a lot with trust.
Yeah.
And it's fine and it's kind and it's nice and it feels good, but it's when push comes to shove, the clearer the documentation and the clearer the communication,
that's
the less issues, I reckon. And if you're transparent and you, and Tim always says this, the Queen doesn't sell his castles, but remember when Queenie died, so sad, Charles stepped in, everything was prepared well before the date, so it seemed quite seamless, right? And that's kind of that's the ultimate goal, I reckon, is having clear communication, a great power team, and everyone understand that there is always compromise.
Yes,
and
I think that's important. That's it. Plan, communicate, and document.
Plan, communicate, and document. That actually goes for everything.
Yeah. Across the board, it doesn't matter what business.
Even travel, plan, communicate, and document.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. And so tonight, the little summary for you guys there is just make sure that in tough times, and even on the home front, going through a home budget or cash management, no one likes to do it in these times, but it is the first cab off the ranks. That is what will give people power, is the more information overload. Make sure it doesn't have to be us. We'd like it to be us, but it doesn't have to be us. But make sure that your power team, you can freely pick up the phone to, you feel like they're adding value, and your gut is telling you that they've got your best interests at heart at the end of the day. Review your outgoings. What efficiencies can you be gaining? Yeah, on everything, right? From everything from on farm to the expenses of running the farm to the actual farm household. I think everything should be up for review, and it's quite refreshing. Once you've done it, to have a plan. It is actually empowering. Yeah, knowing where you're going rather than control, isn't it? Yeah, controlling your controllables. It's exactly that. And decide if you're growing your business or you're going. And again, plan accordingly and communicate. And the last sort of bit we want to touch on tonight is your bucket full? And you're on a bigger farm than my 7 hand-fed princesses, or maybe princes. But it was explained to me once that if you have a hot air balloon and you're in the basket, what lifts you is what's in the balloon, right? And so you've got to be making sure that you are filling and doing those things, that getting off farm, attending the courses, catching up with a friend for a walk. It doesn't have to cost a lot. Growing seedlings, whatever it is that makes you happy, puts a smile on your day, games night on a Friday with your kids, being fully present, doing breath work, whatever it is. It's making it non-negotiable, isn't it? Yeah, non-negotiable. We were talking about that. Yes, okay. Yes. You've got to make time for yourself. You can't carry others if you can't. No. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's really important. Now, we're not sure how many of you are here, but if you've got any questions, please check them in the Q&A, and if not, we're not offended whatsoever. We are available. Reach out if anything comes up in the next however long. Feel free to give us a call or an email. Yeah, and if you need help doing your budget, come and see me. Quite good. And if you need help doing the cash management in the household and getting on the same page financially, I'm quite good. If you need to review your ACC or your outgoing expenses, I'm quite good. If you need to get some tips on what your software is and just a 5-minute chat if you're making the most of things, or what could help you better, really good. I think we're lucky we both love what we do. Yeah. Awesome. So remember though, tonight is of general nature. conversation, and not, please don't deem it as personal advice. But we just hope there's something in there for you.
That golden nugget.
Yeah, that golden nugget. Life's too short to be miserable, right? We need to be glass half full rather than half empty. So, and I'll stop sharing that. Enjoy your evening.
Yes.
Thank you for listening, and reach out.
Yes. Good evening.